Hello, everybody. Hello. So, welcome to another video here. This is a live stream. I have not really done this in a while. I think we got music on here. Hold on, I got shoot. Where's it at? There we go. Turn that off. Sorry about that. I could have sworn I heard like some music going on. Don't want to get myself in trouble. Although some may want me to, but yeah, I don't really know about that. So this is MLB or Major League Baseball 2K7 for Xbox 360. Now I'm doing a live stream because of the fact that trying to kill some time before I go into work today. Don't really want to, but yeah. I used to play this game a lot, when I had an Xbox 360. I think they did have a PS3 version, but I kind of preferred the Xbox 360 version because I said in a video before that I really liked, both systems, PS3 and Xbox 360, but I feel like I played PS3 more. Yeah, they got Pinpoint on here, which is basically like, and yeah, I haven't really done this in a while. Last time, yeah, I haven't done this in a while. Hopefully you get some people join in as well too. Save that. Swing and stuff and pitching. Okay. And look at all the teams on here too. You'll get to see like a lot of the stuff. Now, of course, my team is the Orioles, but look at all the people that we had here. Look at this. As you see here, this is pretty much our ace pitcher, Eric Bedard, who had a pretty decent year. Well, not too bad in 2006, because all these stats are from the 2006 baseball season. As you see, Eric Bedard was 15-11 with a 3.76 ERA, which is actually not bad, actually. Pitched a lot of innings, too, and he basically was our ace. After Rodrigo Lopez, who was our ace for many years, went to a different team, and I forgot where he went because I'm trying to see if he's on here. And look, we got Roger Clemens, who was probably about 40-something in this game. There it is, 44 years. Unbelievable. And yeah, he was pitching at that one time. He pitched with the Yankees, made 19 starts. He basically was being interviewed and stuff like during their 7th inning stretch or something whenever the Yankees were playing a game, and Roger Clemens said basically to the crowd that he was coming back and said can't wait to come back or something. And look at the stats. Look at this. 348 career wins, 178 losses, which is a lot because he pitched for the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Astros, and the Yankees once again. I think he won like 7 Cy Young Awards or 5. I can't really remember. But 4,604 strikeouts, and of course he's not in the Hall of Fame because of everything that went on. I know people probably should think he should be in the Hall of Fame, and personally, I think he should. He had a pretty good season, and it shows his pitches he throws: a fastball, slider, curveball, splitters, curveball, slider, and changeup. No two-seamer or sinker, because usually these people, would throw like either a two-seamer or sinker, but I'm pretty sure that the two-seamer is a sinker. Excuse me, I got the hiccups a little bit. Rick Helling, who was an Oriole in 2003. Usually I go through these teams and I tell you, what they did and stuff. Here's the big unit, Randy Johnson, after he just had left the New York Yankees and was 17-11, but had an ERA of 5 and 172 strikeouts, which is very, big unit unlike, you know, at this time, he had 280 career wins and a ERA of 3.22 and 4,544 strikeouts. Nolan Ryan has the most, of course, with 5,700 something or whatever. Hey Siri, how many strikeouts does Nolan Ryan have? 5,714. So pretty much, yeah, that's incredible. For his career. And not only that, with Nolan Ryan, he never won a Cy Young Award, which again is crazy. We got Levon Hernandez, who had pitched with the San Francisco Giants, the Montreal Expos, Washington Nationals. The Diamondbacks has it on here. A few other teams too. Not in MLB The Show, but of course Randy Johnson is. He was introduced in MLB The Show 22. Brandon Webb, who I don't think is in the game right now, but he has been before. And the batters, we got Tony Clark. I think he was in last year's game. Don't know if he's in the one right now. Eric Burns, who was an Oriole in 2005. He was a big disappointment. He was on Ryan Ripken's show, who is the son of Cal Ripken Jr., of course, and he was telling them that he like they told him like what to do and stuff. They said like when he got off to a good start with the team and all that or whatever. Yeah. Of course, there's some players on here that are not real, like this Brian Barden person, because you see he has no career stats. Because that's the thing with this, you put players on here that are like not real. So what I usually do is I would just go over here and put the player on the team. Like, I think they got 2 catchers on here, but I wouldn't want to do one with 3 catchers. Wait a minute. They got Robbie Hammock and Chris Snyder. So, yeah, because the only one they have is Miguel Montero, who is kind of starting out, I think, at this point. But the rest of these people are AAA people, and they're not, real players. And this is Scott Hairston. He's related to Jerry Hairston Jr. They're brothers, kind of like twins. Then you got the free agents. You got all these people in here, but you see people like Jim Jones, not a real person, Jim Baker. And also, let's take a look at San Francisco, because you're probably wondering, where's Barry Bonds? Right here. Yeah, they did not have the copyrights to Barry Bonds. I think you can go in here and you can, change his name. So I'm pretty sure you can. You can put in, yep. And then the last name. Pretty sure they might have Bonds. Oh, no, I didn't, maybe not. No, they don't. Wow. It would be right after Bonderman, but no. Yeah, so pretty much he's got the batting stance a little bit, but kind of almost like Gary Sheffield a little bit. And his age is 41. He throws right-handed, though, but of course, he has no career stats. Pretty much what you can do is give him number 25, but probably give him a different last name. Then you got Dave Roberts, the current manager of the Dodgers. Looking at my phone on here, seeing if we're like live on YouTube. Whoops. Yeah, it's on there, so I was just double checking. Randy Wynn, Eliezer Alfonso. Okay, I thought it was Edgardo Alfonso, but then you got the Molina brothers. You got Benji. Yadier Molina, I believe, is with St. Louis. I could find him. Yep, there he is. Then the other one would be Jose Molina, but I'm not sure if you can search them. Like find somebody. Oh, yeah, you can. So I got There was always 3 of them that played, so let's take a look. Jose Lima, rest in peace. Where is... Oh, Jose Conine. I thought that was Jeff Conine. Teasers. Oh, there he is. He's on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. There we go. Yep, so all 3 of the Molina brothers in the game. And usually also what I would do is go to the free agents and put these people on the team that they were with in 2007, because again, this is from 2006. Well, the stats are from 2006, but this is, for the 2007 season. Kent Mercker, he pitched for the Orioles before. He threw a no-hitter, I think, with a different team. It was not with us. And, of course, I remember a good amount of these names, like Dan Malecki or Maselli. Dustin Hermanson, he was a closer for the White Sox, and they won the World Series in 2005 over the Astros. Rick Bauer, who was an Oriole, he was like a spot starter, like he made some starts sometimes, like if somebody needed a day off or somebody was hurt or something like that, Wasn't really the greatest. I kind of preferred him as a relief pitcher. Danny Graves, who was a very good closer for the Cincinnati Reds. I definitely remember him, and I think he was born in Vietnam or something. Dewan Brazelton, yes, I remember that name because he pitched for Tampa Bay. Roy Corcoran, something like that, yeah. Tim Worrell, I believe he was an Oriole. I don't think Todd Worrell was, or the other way around. I think Tim Worrell was an Oriole, but it doesn't show the rest of the stats, like who else they pitched for. And of course, their overall ratings a 68, which in MLB The Show would be a bronze rating. I think 65 is a common, or no, 65 is bronze, and then below 65 is a common. Danny Kolb, he was a closer. I remember him. Mike Dejan, he was an Oriole in 2004, I believe, but he absolutely stunk. He didn't really put up good numbers, and you see right there, he only pitched 1 inning for a team in 2006 and had 1 win. He was a Met, mostly. And of course, these made up names, Jermaine Mays, Victor Damon, Barry Morris, apparently is a real person because he has career stats. I have no idea who he pitched for, though. And once again, I would just take the players and put them like on the team. Like I would just, put them like who they played for in 2007. Ramon Vasquez, he was part of that Texas Rangers club when they played the Orioles and they scored 30 runs. Travis Lee, who was a first baseman. None of these people are real. Randall Simon. Phil Nevin, he was almost a Baltimore Oriole in 2005. The Orioles were going to trade Sidney Ponson for him, but the trade wound up not going through or something, I guess, because he had a no-trade clause, or it just wound up not happening. And there's Edgardo Alfonso, Tony Womack. Oh, Sean Burrows, rest in peace. Sad, when I heard about what happened to him. But yeah. Who else do we got? Jose Hernandez. I think he was a coach for the Orioles one time. David Bell, I think, was a manager for the Reds. A lot of these players, they played, in the majors, but they also became managers. Mike Matheny, I know he did. Oh, there's Javi Lopez. He was an Oriole in 2006, but he didn't put up the great numbers like he did in 2004. He was hurt in 2005, but 2006, he was still with us, but we had Ramon Hernandez, who was our catcher. And also, what's his name? Dave Roberts, as I mentioned, now the manager of the Dodgers. Luis Matos, who was an Oriole for many years, but he only had like a good season in 2004, I think. He was pretty decent. But after Corey Patterson took over in 2006, Matos pretty much left after that. And Patterson did pretty well. Bernie Williams. Some people probably would say that he probably should be in the Hall of Fame. He's got pretty good numbers. Look at that. 2,336 career hits and a career average of 297. That's actually pretty good. I think he started in 1992 and I guess retired around 2007 or something like that. But that's pretty good numbers. And how old was he at this time? He was 38. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, 16-year career. I mean, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's a good amount, you know. There are so many players that had really good numbers. And, of course, most of these people are in the Hall of Fame now. Ruben Sierra. I mean, he's not in the Hall of Fame. And he played 20 years? Are you kidding me? Wow. 306 career homers, 2,152 career hits, and a career average of 268. Not a great average. I mean, not terrible. Todd Hollinsworth, he won a Rookie of the Year before. Jeremy Burnett, I think he was almost an Oriole one time, but he joined the Cubs in 2005 when Sammy Sosa came to the Orioles. Anyway, yeah, how many players on here are now Hall of Famers? Let's take a look. Andrew Jones. He just got elected to the Hall of Fame on Sunday, on the weekend. Chipper Jones, he's been in the Hall of Fame. I think he was elected in 2000. So 13 was when he retired, I think. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 18, I think, was when he was elected. Because you have to stay 5 years out of baseball. Because Cal Ripken retired in 2002, well, after 2001, so 2002, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, yeah, 7 was when he got elected. Any pitchers for them? John Smoltz, he's a Hall of Famer. Great pitcher. There's definitely a good amount on here that are Hall of Famers. I don't think the Orioles have any, but there's Miguel Tejada, who had a pretty good season in 2006. 214 hits and played in 162 games and 648 at-bats and batted .330. Pretty good, though, and only 79 strikeouts and walked 46 times. Corey Patterson, a young Nick Markakis starting out. Took over for Sammy Sosa, basically, in 2005. Well, actually, no, he wasn't with the team yet. He was in the minors, but he joined the team in 2006. And Melvin Mora had a pretty good career. And Brian Roberts. This Kyle Morgan guy, he's not real. So what I do is basically go into here and put the other person on the team, but not sure who I would put on there. Because the only one would probably be Brandon Fahey, because I'm pretty sure I remember him playing in 2007 for us. Okay, now we're Boston. David Ortiz. Unfortunately, he's in the Hall of Fame, which I don't really care for because of the fact he was one of the players that I hated in baseball. Julio Lugo, rest in peace. Good player, though. Manny Ramirez, who is not in the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad because of the way, his career was. I don't think the Red Sox have any pitchers. Tim Wakefield, rest in peace. The knuckleballer. Curt Schilling, he is not in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people think that he should be. His ERA is a little bit high, but Mike Mussina's had a high ERA, but he's got more career wins. I think he's got about 260 or something. Curt Schilling started out with the Orioles, believe it or not. He was a relief pitcher. Then he may have did some starting pitching, and of course his overall rating is a 90, which would be a diamond, and MLB The Show. Bob Dixon, not a real person. Josh Beckett. I wish the Orioles would have gotten him before. And Jonathan Papelbon. I didn't care for him. I'm glad the Orioles never got him, as he had a bad attitude. And nobody else really on there. Now the Chicago Cubs. Alfonso Soriano, 46 home runs in 2006. Didn't even win the MVP award. I think he had 40 homers and 40 doubles, though. Derek Lee, who was an Oriole in 2011. Didn't really put up great numbers. Rich Hill, who joined the Orioles in 2009. He also played for many others. Ryan Dempster, who was a starting pitcher and a closer. Yeah. The Chicago White Sox, Jim Thome, he's a Hall of Famer. He was an Oriole in 2012. It was kind of at the end of his career, though. Darren Erstad, he had some pretty good seasons. AJ Brzezinski, I couldn't stand him. I think he was a real jerk. Paul Konerko. Oops. He used to be in MLB The Show, but I don't think he is anymore. Not sure. I mean, he's got some pretty good numbers, but I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. Mark Burley, he was never elected. He had some pretty good seasons. Bobby Jenks, rest in peace. Really good closer he was. Won a World Series ring with them in 2005. All right. Ryan Friel, rest in peace. Adam Dunn, he hit a lot of homers, but his career average is very, very low because he struck out a lot of times. Yep. Jeff Conine, who was an Oriole in 2006. The Orioles kind of needed a veteran on their team, but he didn't stay with the team. He wound up leaving around 2006 and went to, I guess it was the Reds, or no, I think it was the Phillies or somebody. I can't remember. Ken Griffey Jr., there he is. A 252 average, though, in 2006, which is not Ken Griffey Jr. like. He mostly batted 270, 280, or 290, or even 300. But 563 career homers at that time would have had probably 3,000 career hits had he stayed healthy. He would have probably had 3,200 or 3,300, maybe even more than that, maybe 3,400. And he would have had probably at least 800 career homers. And Josh Hamilton, a young Josh Hamilton who hit all them homers. Edwin Encarnacion, I couldn't stand him. I don't think Joey Votto was on here because I think Joey Votto was still in the minors somewhere, or unless we passed him. No, he's not on there. So yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. was elected to the Hall of Fame around 2015, I want to say. Him and Mike Piazza, I think, were elected. And what's his name? Ken Griffey Jr. almost got 100% of votes to the Hall of Fame, but really he should have. But Mariano Rivera wound up getting it. Grady Sizemore, good player. Casey Blake, he was an Oriole before. Travis Hafner, good player. But no Hall of Famers on here, though. CC Sabathia, that's the only one. He was elected years ago, but I wasn't too thrilled about that. I wasn't sure that he should have been elected, but anyway. The Colorado Rockies, Steve Finley, wow. I didn't know he played for the Rockies, but look at that, 2,531 career hits, and he's not a Hall of Famer, an 18-year player. I'm very surprised he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's got more than Scott Rowland. I mean, I think personally he should have been in the Hall of Fame. Wow. Really good player he was. Yeah. Started out with the Orioles. But he definitely, I think, should be in the Hall of Fame. But here's one that is Todd Helton. He had a very good career. Batting average is very good, too. And the pitchers, I don't think... oh, there's Rodrigo Lopez. Yeah. Yeah, he didn't do so great with the Orioles. 9 wins and 18 losses in 2006 after he put up really good numbers. Ubaldo Jimenez, who was later an Oriole in 2014, and that was a terrible signing because he only had one good season. That was 2015. The rest of them was absolutely bad. Yep. All right. Yeah, I'll get into a game, pretty soon. I'm just going, oh, Eric Dubose, he was a former Oriole. Just going over, some of these players and stuff, because I remember a good amount of them. I'm just going over, some that are Hall of Famers now, and some of them that probably should be, and some that never got elected, Gary Sheffield, personally, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but everybody will say, because he did some kind of drug or whatever, and he was kind of a bad boy, too. Maglio Ordonez had a pretty good career. He's not in MLB The Show. Gary Sheffield is, but I feel like Maglio should be. Curtis Granderson, he's in MLB The Show. Ivan Rodriguez, he's a Hall of Famer, and of course people are not too thrilled about that because people have said that he's done some kind of drug, but I don't personally remember. And the pitchers, I think we have a young Justin Verlander on here somewhere. Jose Mesa, I remember him. Yeah, there he is. 17-9, and that wasn't his first season. 2005 was. 2006, 17-9 with a 3.63 ERA. He will definitely be a Hall of Famer when he retires. Well, he's retiring after this season, so he will definitely be a Hall of Famer for sure. Oh, God. I just saw Tim Burdack. He was an Oriole. Kenny Rogers. Oh, my God. He was terrible. I mean, he had a bad attitude. The way he pushed that cameraman when he was a Detroit Tiger. That was really stupid, what he really did. And that absolutely ruined his career. He threw a no-hitter, I think it was, or no, it was a perfect game with the Rangers, I think, in 1993. But yeah, what he did to that cameraman was absolutely disgusting, and awful, for him to do something like that. And here we got the Florida Marlins, Miguel Cabrera, a young Miguel Cabrera, who will be a Hall of Famer. He's got over 3,000 career hits. Usually when you have over 3,000 career hits, you're a lock-in. But there will be people that probably say, no, he won't get elected. He did, some kind of drugs like steroids or HGH or some kind of, drug that's illegal. Everybody always, does that kind of stuff. Kevin Gregg, who was an Oriole before, and Matt Lindstrom. Gregg was with the Orioles in 2011 and 12, and Matt Lindstrom was with us in 2012. Jorge Julio, another former Oriole from 2002 to 2006, I think, or I guess he was with us in 06. But he might have been with another team. I don't think he was with us in 2006. I think he was with us in 2005. And I don't think there's any Hall of Famers on here for the Marlins. I don't really think so. Well, just Miguel Cabrera, but he'll be a Hall of Famer. But yeah. The Houston Astros, Lance Berkman, he had a great career, but not elected to the Hall of Fame. Luke Scott, who became an Oriole in 2007, or 2008, excuse me, after they got rid of Miguel Tejada, and Carlos Lee had a really good career. Craig Biggio, he's a Hall of Famer now. He's got over 3,000 career hits. At this time, he had 2,930. He would eventually get his 3,000th career hit. He was 41 at this time. Yeah, he had a really, really good career. Great player he was. Teammate of Jeff Bagwell and many others. Jeff Bagwell is also a Hall of Famer. And the pitchers, doesn't look like it. Dave Burkowski, I believe he was an Oriole. Pretty sure that he was. The Kansas City Royals, I don't think we have very many in here. I don't think we do for this one. I don't think we have any Hall of Famers. Octavio Dotel, rest in peace. And no Hall of Famers in this one. Just pretty much people that had, pretty good careers and stuff and put up good numbers. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Vladimir Guerrero, he's a Hall of Famer now. And, of course, his son, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., also plays in the majors. Garrett Anderson, rest in peace. Gary Matthews Jr., he was an Oriole a couple of times in 2002 and 2003. He was an All-Star with Texas in 2006. Actually had a pretty good season. 194 hits, 19 homers only, and 79 RBIs, but pretty good, though, and batted .313. And he made that incredible catch in center field, and I think in either 2005 or 6. I think it was 2005. But yeah, had a really good career. Well, I mean, good career. Not Hall of Fame numbers, but yeah. Francisco Rodriguez, he racked up over 470 career saves, I want to say, or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I think he's got around the number at least Smith has. Darren Oliver, he was a pitcher who pitched for many years, 13 years. He was a relief pitcher and a starting pitcher. Mostly did starting pitching, but then he went to relief. Bartolo Colon, not even in MLB The Show, which is crazy because a lot of people want him. And Jared Weaver, brother of Jeff Weaver. Jared had a pretty good career. Joe Saunders, who was an Oriole a couple of times, I think, in 2012 and 2015 or 16. I can't remember. I think he had a second stint with the Orioles. The Los Angeles Dodgers, Luis Gonzalez, who was part of that home run chase in 2001 with hitting all them homers, but Barry Bonds, of course, ran away with it. Matt Kemp had a pretty good career. Used to be an MLB The Show. Luis Gonzalez is. Juan Pierre, he had a pretty good career. Always would it seemed like he would always get like over 200 hits and stuff. He was a base stealer too. Really good player. He needs to be an MLB The Show again. Wilson Betemit, who wound up being an Oriole in 2012. Jeff Kent, he just got elected to the Hall of Fame. Some people weren't too thrilled about that, but I'm glad he did. He had a pretty good career. He really did. I'm really glad that he got elected. Nomar Garcia-Parra, he needs to be an MLB The Show, and he had a great career. Not a Hall of Famer, but he probably could have been. Larry Bigby, I remember him. He was an Oriole, and he had one good season with us in 2004. And Ken Huckabee, another person right there. He was an Oriole, I think, in 2004 or something like that. He was as a backup catcher. And the pitchers, Randy Wolf, he was an Oriole in 2012. Jason Schmidt, who was a pitcher for the Giants many years, and Brad Penny was an all-star starter in 2006. Oh, I thought that was Scott Erickson. I need glasses. Steve Erickson, not a real person. Oh, Mark Hendrickson, he was an Oriole in the later years in 2009, 10, 11, and 12, I think. Not sure. The Milwaukee Brewers of Bill Hall, who was an Oriole in 2012, I think. Prince Fielder, who was not an Oriole, but he's the son of Cecil Fielder, and he had a pretty good career, just like his dad. J.J. Hardy, who joined the Orioles in 2011. Tony Gwynn Jr., the son of Tony Gwynn, rest in peace. No Hall of Famers, I don't think, on this one. I thought Ryan Braun was on here. I guess not. He must have been, in later years, must have been the minors. The pitchers, no Hall of Famers, doesn't look like. Ben Sheets had a pretty good career. And no Hall of Famers. And that Prince Fielder probably would have been, if he put up probably 500 career homers. The Minnesota Twins, Lou Ford, who was an Oriole in the later years, in 2012, I think. Torrey Hunter. I kind of thought that Torrey Hunter should have been in the Hall of Fame. He had a pretty good season. Well, he had a pretty good career, but he had some good seasons, too. Joe Mauer, he got elected to the Hall of Fame before. Some people may not be thrilled about that, but he had a really good career. Luis Castillo, good player. He seems like he would hit, 200 hits or whatever. All right. The pitchers. Boof Bonzer. What a name. Sidney Ponson. Holy mackerel. He was terrible with the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, he only had the one good season in 2003, and then he didn't put up the numbers in 2004 or 5, and then the Orioles wound up getting rid of him after, I think he also pitched for the Yankees, the Twins, the Cardinals, I think, and I think the Royals. But yeah, from Aruba, Joe Nathan, good closer. He also was a starter. Johan Santana. He was an Oriole in 2014 in the minors, though, but he did not make the opening day roster. All right, the Yankees, the Mets, Jose Reyes, Sean Green had a pretty good career. Not a Hall of Famer, though, but he did put up really good numbers. Moises Alou, I know people remember him from that game, with the Cubs, in 2003, I think it was, but he had a really good career. Carlos Beltran, he got elected to the Hall of Fame. Again, people weren't too thrilled about that because of the fact of stuff that happened many years ago, but you got to let the past go. Lastings Millage, what a name. David Newhan, a former Oriole, had some pretty good season, I think, in 2004 and stayed with us until 2006. I think he was with us, but then he went to another team. Carlos Delgado, he is not a Hall of Famer, which is kind of crazy because he had close to 500 career homers, but usually when you do that, you're a lock-in. You go to the Hall of Fame. But he did not get elected, which is kind of crazy, and I think he should. Julio Franco, he played till he was like 46, or no, he played till he was like 48 or 49. Not a Hall of Famer, though. I mean, I think Julio Franco needs to be in the Hall of Fame. You know, he's got a lot of good numbers and a good career average. That's crazy that he's not elected. Wow. I know some will probably disagree, but yeah. Sandy Alomar Jr., brother Roberto Alomar, and Fernando Tatis, who I think was an Oriole in 2006. But he is the father of Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't care for Jr., yeah. Billy Wagner, who's now a Hall of Famer. He was a great closer, and he was overdue, to be in the Hall of Fame. Glad he finally got elected. Tom Glavine, he's a Hall of Famer. He's got over 300 career wins. Good teammate of Greg Maddux and John Smoltz. And speaking of Greg Maddux, I'm pretty sure he's with the Padres, or he's got to be with the Padres. Orlando Hernandez, El Duque, John Maine, who was a former Oriole. Yeah, good to see all these names on here. Now the Yankees, Derek Jeter, who's of course is a Hall of Famer. Bobby Abreu is not. Johnny Damon isn't, but he had pretty good seasons and pretty good career. Jorge Posada is not. Alex Rodriguez is not. He had, I think, close to 700 career homers, but everything, pretty much happened, with, well, you know what happened. Jason Giambi is not because of what he did in baseball as well. And it's a shame, once you admit, you did something when you took some kind of drugs, and that ruins your career. Chris Britton, he was an Oriole before. Carl Pavano, almost an Oriole. Andy Pettitte, he's not a Hall of Famer, but probably some people think he should be. I think this is when he returned to the Yankees after he was with the Astros. Yeah. Then Mariano Rivera, who is a Hall of Famer and got 100% of votes. Mike Mussina, who is a Hall of Famer. Some people may not be thrilled about that, but he had a really good career. An Oriole for many years, from 1991 to 2000. Yep, great stuff he had. He really did. And Andy Pettitte, like I said, he probably should be in the Hall of Fame, for most people, but I don't think personally it would happen, but yeah. So, who else we got? Nothing there. Oakland Athletics. Well, now they're just the Athletics. Bobby Crosby, not the YouTuber. Shan Stewart and Milton Bradley. Good players, I remember. Mike Piazza. He's a Hall of Famer. And yes, he was an Oakland Athletic. He should have got in on the first ballot, though. And Jason Kendall, good catcher. Eric Chavez, Nick Swisher. Yep. The pitchers. Houston Street, good closer. Justin Dukeshire, who was in the Orioles spring training in 2011, but he did not, make the roster. Rich Harden, I remember him, and Danny Herron. Joe Kennedy, Joe Kennedy. I'm looking up his name as I'm just not sure exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, he passed in 2007. Just a person, that I do remember. Pitched for the Rockies and a few others. Esteban Loaiza. I think he also pitched for the Diamondbacks, it said, but the Rockies was pretty much the team that he played for. I think he also pitched for somebody else, but again, I'm not sure. All right. Chad Gaulden. I want to say he was an Oriole. Not sure. Philadelphia Phillies. Jimmy Rollins, not a Hall of Famer. I keep pressing the other button when I look at their stats. Shane Victorino. Pat Burrell. Chase Utley had that memorable hit streak. Not in the Hall of Fame, but just a person I remember. Ryan Howard. Look at that. 58 home runs and batted .313. I'm pretty sure he won the MVP award. About 181 strikeouts, so a lot. But he had a pretty good career. But his career average is very low. Tom Flash Gordon, good pitcher. He was a starting pitcher, I think, in the beginning. Then he was a closer. Brett Myers, I heard that he did like something terrible, like to his wife or somebody like that. I can't remember. Jamie Moyer, a pitcher that pitched for a pretty good while. Pitched till he was like 47 or something, or 48. Pitched for at least 23 seasons. He was an Oriole from 1993 to 1995. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. No, not really great stats, but he should be in MLB The Show. Would be interesting to have him in there. And Freddie Garcia, who became an Oriole in 2013, and Cole Hamels. I think he threw a no-hitter, or I think just once. I could have sworn they may have done it twice, but I'm not sure. The Pittsburgh Pirates, a young Jose Bautista, who was an Oriole in the beginning of his career, but he was most known for playing with the Toronto Blue Jays. He had over 50 homers. Jason Bay had a pretty good career, and pretty good seasons too. Okay, and the pitchers, not really. John Wasden, he was an Oriole, but the rest of them, yeah, not really seeing. Oh, there was another one in the minors here who was an Oriole. Jim Brower, yeah, I remember him. San Diego Padres. Now, this is where I think Greg Maddux is. Mike Cameron, who was part of that trade for Ken Griffey Jr. Adrian Gonzalez. I guess he was kind of starting out. Yeah, kind of starting out with San Diego. Jack Cust and Manny. Oh, no, that is Manny Alexander. Okay, the picture was wrong. Former Oriole. And Jack Cust, another former Oriole. Now, the pitchers, I'm pretty sure Greg Maddux is in there. Chris Young, I remember him. Clay Meredith, who was an Oriole before. David Wells, another Oriole in 1996. And there he is, Greg Maddux. Yep. The future Hall of Famer at that time. 333 career wins, 203 losses, though. But a career ERA of 3.07 and 3,169 strikeouts. But he had more than that. 40 at this time and 21 years in the majors. Yep. Good pitcher. Fastball, cut fastball. I think he was more like a sinker pitcher and a slider, curveball and circle change. Yep. San Francisco, we pretty much, we're on that one. Ray Durham, good player, used to be in MLB The Show, and same with Rich Aurelia. But like I said, they do not have Travis Ishikawa, I think was an Oriole before. Steve Klein, terrible pitcher for the Orioles. And Russ Ortiz, I think he was with the Orioles in 2006. But he didn't really have any good stats. So, I mean, he was, pretty good, with a few others. But, yeah. And Barry Zito, he needs to be in MLB The Show. He's not a Hall of Famer. But they need to put him, in MLB The Show. Armando Benitez, a former Oriole. Good amount of saves with the Mets and a few others. He did some closing with the Orioles as well, too. But he just had, I think better seasons with different teams, Okay. Seattle Mariners, Ichiro Suzuki, but just has it as that. And, of course, he is a Hall of Famer, the first Japanese player elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Had a really good career, over 3,000 career hits. And I think he had 262 hits in 2000. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was like 2005 or something, or one of those years. He always would get like over 200 hits a season, but yeah. Probably would have had maybe 3,500 hits. I don't know. But yeah, Richie Sexson, good player, had a lot of homers. Felix Hernandez should be in here. So I'm pretty sure he was one of the pitchers. And there's Jeff Weaver. And there's Felix Hernandez. Second year, I think this was. kind of like rough numbers with the Mariners. 12-14, ERA of 4.52, but yeah, not too bad. Arthur Rhodes, former Oriole, started out as a starter and then went to the bullpen. Great pitcher for us. George Sherrill, who was an Oriole, who was a closer for a couple of years, I think. The St. Louis Cardinals. Juan Encarnacion. It was a shame what happened to his career. He got hit by a ball in the on deck circle. I mean, he's all right now, but that was pretty much the end of his career. But he was a good player. And Jim Edmonds, people think that he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he had over 2,000 career hits because he has a 1,709. But he was a great outfielder. Played for a good while, too. Started with the California Angels at that time. And then the Anaheim Angels. He didn't play with them when they became the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. But he was, a really good player. Albert Pujols, who is now a Hall of Famer. Well, he will be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's got over 3,000 hits and he's got over 700 career homers. But there will be people saying, "Oh, he did something. He used some kind of drug." I don't think he ever did. People just always, do this kind of shit. And Adam Wainwright, I think this is his second year, who was a good pitcher for the Cardinals. Jason Isringhausen, he used to be in MLB The Show, and same with Adam Wainwright. The rest of them, man, nothing there. I have taken up a lot of time, unfortunately, because now I'm going to have to probably get ready soon. I got to go to work eventually. Delman Young, who was an Oriole and hit that memorable bases clearing double in the 2014 ALDS against the Tigers. Carl Crawford, he needs to be in MLB The Show. He used to be. Rocco Baldelli, I remember him. I think he won the Rookie of the Year, I thought, in 2003, or then again, maybe not. Ty Wigginton, I remember he played for the Orioles. Wasn't really too big on him. Jorge Cantu, I remember that guy. Scott Kazmir, I remember him. He was a pitcher with Tampa Bay, or the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at that time, but they would later become the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah. James Shields, I think he used to be in MLB The Show. Same with Scott Kazmir. And Edwin Jackson, I think he used to be. He played for a lot of teams. And Jason Hamill, a young Jason Hamill, who was an Oriole in 2012 and 2013. All right. A few more teams to go over. And there's Sammy Sosa. Look at that. But no stats. That's crazy. He was a Texas Ranger in 2007, actually. He was not with the team in 2006 because the Orioles wound up releasing him after the 2005 season. And he pretty much did play for Texas in 2007. And he did pretty well, actually. Michael Young, he had a pretty good season. A pretty good career as well, too. And Nelson Cruz, who was an Oriole in 2014. But Sammy Sosa, he had the numbers, but of course is not a Hall of Famer. And Kenny Lofton, people think he should be in the Hall of Fame, and I actually agree with that. I'm pretty sure he had over 600 stolen bases, and he had probably at least 2,400 career hits or something. And he played for a good while. It's his 16th year. He did return to Cleveland for 1 year, but he played for them from 1992 to 2001, I want to say. And he was an all-star many times and a starter, but very good player. I would say pretty much underrated. He needs to be back in MLB The Show. Jerry Hairston Jr., I mentioned Scott Hairston, and him and Jerry Hairston being brothers, and Mark Teixeira should have been an Oriole in 2009. Yep. And the pitchers, Bruce Chen, who was an Oriole in 2006, but not great numbers, though, as you see. No wins and 7 losses, unfortunately. Yep. But he did have some good seasons with Baltimore. 2004, I think he came to us, but 2005, he was pretty good, but yeah. And the rest of them, Scott Feldman, he was an Oriole in 2013. Eric Gagne, a memorable closer for the Dodgers, and I think he won the MVP in 2002 or 2003, something like that. Kevin Millwood, who was an Oriole in 2010, but unfortunately had 4 wins and 16 losses, which was terrible. But yeah, he had a pretty good career, but not a Hall of Famer. Yep. All right, now to Toronto, I believe. Yep. Vernon Wells, good career. He had Greg Zaun, the nephew of Rick Dempsey, and was an Oriole from 1995, I want to say, till 96, and he played for a few others and returned to the Orioles in 2009. But pretty much Matt Wieters was coming up around that time, and he was just there, I guess as a mentor, to Matt Wieters. Troy Gloss, good player, played for the California Angels or Anaheim Angels and Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Yep. Hit a lot of home runs. He was a really good player. He really was. Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, he's now a Hall of Famer. He had over 500 career homers, and the average is really good. Of course, again, people, probably say that, that he did something wrong, but he never did. As far as I know, he was one of the best. Sal Fasano, he was an Oriole before. That crazy mustache. Yeah, and pitchers, Roy Halladay, rest in peace. He is a Hall of Famer. Threw a perfect game in the majors against the Marlins and threw a no-hitter in the postseason against, well, he was a Philly when he was pitching. Well, he was a Philly when he threw the perfect game and the no-hitter in the postseason. I forgot who they faced, but yeah. B.J. Ryan, who was an Oriole for many years, but he wound up signing a deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. 38 saves and 2 wins, 2 losses, and an ERA of 1.37, which is pretty incredible. I mean, he was really good with the Orioles in 2005, but the Orioles couldn't bring him back on a deal. I kind of wish they did, but yeah. Josh Towers, a former Oriole. He was all right in 2001, but 2002 wasn't that great. In 2003, I think he did pretty well with Toronto. But yeah, just a pitcher that I remember. And he throws a sinker. Look at that, because most of them I'm seeing on here, and they don't have, sinkers for some of the pitchers. But yeah. Tomo Oka, I remember that guy. AJ Burnett. Kind of wish that he was an Oriole. I was hoping he would be in 2006, but he went to the Blue Jays. And he used to be in MLB The Show, and he needs to be back in MLB The Show. And not Hall of Fame numbers either, but he had a decent career. I mean, not too bad. He pitched for a pretty good while. Not sure exactly how long, but he did pitch, for a lot. He pitched for the Blue Jays, Yankees, Marlins, Pirates. I think that's it. I think that's it. I might be missing a team, but yeah. And the Washington Nationals, not long after they became the Washington Nationals after the 2004 season when they became the Nationals in 2005. Ryan Zimmerman, had a pretty good career. Dimitri Young, Nick Johnson, who was an Oriole in 2012. Tony Batista, the guy with that crazy batting stance. But yeah, he was an Oriole in 2001, 2002, and 2003. Had some pretty good seasons, with Bernie Castro. He was a former Oriole. I remember him. Yeah, he just had that. He came to the Orioles in 2001 when Cal Ripken was retiring to take over third base. But yeah. And the pitchers, John Roush, I believe he was in the Orioles organization like in 2014 or 15. Not sure. Chad Cordero, pretty good closer. Luis Ayala, who was an Oriole in 2012 and 13, I think. Sean Hill, I saw him pitch before. In a game in 2010, I think. Jerome Williams, I remember him. That's pretty much it. The free agents, we don't need to go over all that. The Diamondbacks, we went over, I think, a good amount of that. I think that's pretty much it. And the Braves, yeah, that's pretty much all of it. Yeah, the Orioles, I mean, you got Brian Roberts, who was our second baseman. This Kyle Morgan guy, he was not a real player. Aubrey Huff, who joined the Orioles after, pretty much coming to the team. Where's Kevin Millar? I don't see Kevin Millar in here because I'm pretty sure Kevin Millar was an Oriole still in 2007. Yeah, that's weird. I guess at this time they would do like updates and stuff and they would put him on the roster. Steve Traxel, that guy was, he was terrible with us. Yeah, I definitely remember him. I mean, he just did not put up great numbers with us. I mean, he did pretty decent in 2006. I guess that was with the Mets, or I don't think he was a Cub. And Jeremy Guthrie, who became an Oriole in 2007. Scott Williamson, yeah. But this guy, Jim Wilson, isn't a real person. And Adam Lowen, he was, he looked like a pretty good pitcher, but he could not stay healthy. And then he became a batter, and then he pretty much went back to pitching, and then he retired soon after that. Todd Williams, I remember him, and Chris Benson. I don't think he was an Oriole in 2007 because I think he was hurt, but yeah. Cindy Real, I remember that person. Crazy name. Daniel Cabrera, I met him in 2005 at the Oriole Fan Fest. He was okay. I mean, he wasn't really that nice, but, well, that person that was next to him, she was like rushing to people and saying, "Come on, folks, keep the line moving." That was really unnecessary of that lady to do that, but he came close of a no-hitter in 2006 against the Yankees. But, just a pitcher I do remember, but he wasn't really the greatest with us. Hayden Penn and Chris Ray. Chris Ray was a good closer for us. Had 33 saves in 2006 and a 2.73 ERA, but then he got hurt, I think, in 2007. And we had to go to Danny's Baez and a few others to do closing. Chad Bradford, who was I think, submarine pitcher, and Jared Wright. He pretty much couldn't stay healthy with us, I think. And Adam Lowen, as I mentioned, he just pretty much didn't put up good numbers. Well, he was hurt, unfortunately, like I said, but seen him pitch, a few times. And Miguel Tejada, who pretty much would leave the Orioles after the 2007 season and returned in 2010. Yeah. Jay Payton, who played for other teams, and Corey Patterson, good player for the Cubs, and I think he stole some bases with us. Yeah. Yep. Well, folks, I'm going to have to probably wrap this up because, again, I have to get ready soon because it is getting close to 12:30. But sorry, I couldn't really do a game, but anyway, hope everybody enjoyed it, though. But thanks again for joining in.